Test, test. Alright guys, this is American Gladiators. This is for the NES there. Had a lot of fancier games getting played today, but this is one of the old greats. It qualifies for licensed-on by being a television program from the late 80s, early 90s, and was ported as well to the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. This version, I think, is by far superior. It plays a lot like a platformer almost. So we're gonna see that it definitely has American Gladiators type like inspiration, but not necessarily a lot of the realistic gameplay from that. So we're gonna give that a shot there. Hopefully the video fixed itself there. It's stuttering a little bit on the bottom. Not quite sure what's going on, but good on my end. So we'll play it regardless here. All right, we'll get ready here and get started here. When I hit start, it'll be 3, 2, 1, go. All right, we'll get started here with Joust. So in Joust, it plays a bit like a fighting game. In the actual TV show, they would stand still and kind of swing at each other over and over again. In the video game version, we got to beat 4 guys. So there's one spot on the Gladiator they're vulnerable at a time, and there's 3 spots you can actually hit them. You can either hit them high, medium, or low. And there's patterns to each enemy on how to beat them, or each Gladiator. I guess they're not really bad guys, but the patterns are really, really simple in the first level like this. As we get a little bit further in the game, the patterns are going to get far more complex, and it's going to be our job to adapt and be able to hit them when they're vulnerable there. All right. After every 3rd Gladiator, there's going to be a super stick like that, and we're going to try and grab it while we're moving forward. And if you get the super stick and hit the last Gladiator first, then you get a one-hit kill on there. So that's Joust. Joust 1 is super quick and easy. The next event is the event that generally punished everyone who ever played this game before, and they were like, why is this game so hard? And that's the wall. This is also the event that's probably the least like the TV show. So we're going to scale this giant wall and hopefully not get ripped down by a Gladiator here. Additionally, this level uses a sort of really weird control mechanic. I'm not on camera, obviously, but the way that I'm holding the controller is I'm putting it down on my right leg, and I'm using my index and middle fingers to tap A and B like I'm playing the piano almost, or typing on a keyboard. Because my left hand is controlled by the B button, and my right hand is controlled by the A button. So it's really important that I can do that repeatedly quickly. Bad pattern there, but we survived it. Scoot through on that one hand grip there on the left side. And that's wall 1. So yeah, the TV show is definitely not like that at all. The TV show is, you know, maybe 15, 20 feet of scaling, and the Gladiator chases from behind you, just one of them, instead of like 30 people flying off a wall there. Alright, so here's Human Cannonball. It's going to play just like Joust, in that we're going to have 4 enemies, and we're going to try and take them all out by grabbing onto the rope and then taking them out like this. It looks really, really simple, and it is on level 1, but it does get a bit more complicated. You can see already that my pedestal and the Gladiator's pedestal are going different speeds on this particular stage. So that's how the difficulty changes, is the speed of the rope, the speed of your pedestal, and the speed of their pedestal can be a little bit offset. The task has not even been able to solve a way to actually hit the Gladiator there on the first pass through. If you hit the Gladiator from too high above, they'll hold up their pad and block him. And if you hit them too low, obviously you won't hit him at all, and you'll run into the pedestal and fall to your death. So, Human Cannonball isn't too difficult, but as the levels go on there, they get a lot faster, and some of them are even blind. The next level is Powerball. That's kind of an auto-scroller in the fact that it just counts down time. And our goal is to stuff all the balls in the buckets here, with the reward at the end being that if we happen to stuff all the buckets, then we get an extra life that hopefully we don't need, but you never know. It is possible, if you basically have a perfect run through level 1 and level 2. Actually, I think I've done it on level 3 before as well, that you have the opportunity to do it twice and get 2 1-ups, although this is not starting off really well. The Gladiator mechanics are a little bit different here. They will go directly towards your guy, your contender, every second or so, and then they'll just keep heading in that direction, and then a second later they'll kind of refresh and change their direction accordingly. So you can kind of bait them behind the pedestals and get them trapped and such. But they are difficult to walk around if you're bumping into them. They can really trap you and get you stuck against the walls or the buckets themselves. Alright. Probably not going to get a 2-up here, but let's see if we can get a middle out of this. Yep, we got him trapped. Cool. Alright, so now we're going off to Assault. Oh my goodness. Sorry if I got Streamlabs noises things. I'll get that on the next changeover. Sorry, I thought I had that muted there. This assault, we want to get 3 hits on the Gladiator before he hits us 3 times. Alright, there we go. That should fix it. Alright, so level 2, everything gets a little bit more complicated here. So the patterns here on the Joust Gladiators are going to be a little bit trickier. I'm not going to be able to hit him in the same spot over and over and over again. You can see that he's already swinging high. That's something the Gladiators didn't do at all on level 1. It's just going to be on us to identify their vulnerability spot. This game also has amazing sound effects, so I'm going to be quiet for the next fight so you can hear a lot of the grunts and the falling noises. It's a pretty good one. I mean, since this game came out late 80s, early 90s, I don't know how many, how available that sample was beforehand. I know it's quite popular since then. But, maybe Gladiators is the first real mainstream use of that sound effect. I know it's got a name, that scream itself. I've streamed before and someone has told me what it was, but it has escaped me at this moment. Alright, Wall 2 is a lot trickier than Wall 1 because we've got a lot more lateral movement. In Wall 1, we just kind of climbed straight up and got to the top. This one's going to have us move left to right a little bit as well. So we got some right to left movement here, but you guys will see what I mean. We have some side-scrolling action. Because there's going to be some screen transitioning here. We're no longer going to be going up. We're going to be going over here to the right. I grabbed a pair of gloves there. Those are bittersweet as far as a reward goes. They allow me to move without having to use my A and B buttons anymore, which allows me to go a lot faster. But I lose all the precision of knowing exactly, alright, I'm going to go one step this way, one step this way. Because as long as I'm holding down the D-pad, it's just kind of flooring it. And when you're trying to navigate really tight, narrow areas there without falling off, and the gloves aren't always the best thing, but they do help for speed purposes there. We would have taken it a lot more aggressively if we weren't in a marathon and tried to navigate that narrow pathway with the gloves still. And there's actually power-ups similar to the Super Stick and the gloves available also in Human Cannonball. We're going to see here in a sec. When we get to the 3rd Gladiator, they're going to throw a different pair of gloves at us. And what that allows us to do is scale the rope. Now, I'm hoping to not have to use those, because we're going to actually try for a glitch on Gladiator 4 instead. You can see how fast Gladiator 2 is already moving here. I might have grabbed that rope too high. No, we got it, alright. Alright, so we're going to grab the gloves, but we're not really going to use the gloves, other than to slide down this rope here, because we're not really going to abuse them like we can. We're going to try and get this clip off the ceiling. If we can jump at the highest point. Let's see if we get it. There we go, got it. Saved about 6 seconds with that play, so worked out pretty good. You can also do that on Gladiator 4 of Human Cannonball level 3, but you are unable to do it on Gladiator 4 and level 4 because of the fact that it's a long-distance shot instead of a one-screener. Alright, we got another Powerball here. The only difference in this now, they didn't change any difficulty, they just decreased the time. So now we have 55 seconds of this auto-scroller to get a 1-up that we hopefully don't need. If you guys ever watched American Gladiators or have a chance to, like, you know, fire that up on YouTube on another window or something while you're watching this, Powerball is the subtle event that is probably the most dangerous, because they're basically in a television studio with some, like, miniature golf felt laid down on the ground, and they're all tackling each other and beating the crap out of each other to stop these balls from going in the buckets. And the Gladiators themselves are essentially bodybuilders or, you know, former professional wrestlers or college athletes, and the contenders are a bunch of average Joes, and they're just getting, like, straight up obliterated and slammed down in the concrete. These guys aren't professionals used to taking contact and, you know, preparing themselves for cement floor destruction. So that's one worth watching. Assault, the only difference here is now instead of him having 3 HP, he has 4 HP, and they've moved the weapons into a little bit harder to reach place. They're putting a little bit more danger. I already got shot twice, so that's not particularly great. But, oh, no, took a death. It's alright. Had that been level 1, we would have killed him just in time. But... Alright. 1 for 1, 2 for 2. Oh, come on. There we go. As the levels go on here, the weapons get further and further away from the base, and thus become harder and harder to get. And when he has 5 or 6 HP, it actually ends up being more of a strategy to just run to the finish line, like you would in the TV show, as opposed to trying to actually shoot in the right amount of times. Alright. Joust 3 I find to be actually more complicated than Joust 4. The patterns are far more complex. I know it looks like I just hit him in the middle a bunch of times there, but had he hit me once at all, I would have been in big trouble in trying to, like, figure out where in the pattern I am. Because the pattern of where they might be vulnerable is, like, 6 or 7 steps long for some of these gladiators. And if I get hit a few times, it's kind of hard to jump back in and know exactly where I should be swinging. I should have been swinging low there, but he blocked it a couple times on me. Alright, I think I found the pattern again. Oh, nope. What a duel. This makes for great television. Probably not great speedrunning, but getting a lot of TV time there for that gladiator. He put up a good fight. Alright, this guy's got a 6-step pattern, so hopefully we just never get hit. Worked out nicely. We gotta hurry to get this super stick, because it's coming out in a hurry. And then we'll swing low to try and get first attack. We got it. Sweet. Yeah, these older licensed games are a lot of fun. I didn't find the SNES versions as fun. They play a bit more casual multiplayer instead of like platform single player style. Like American Gladiators plays very similar to Nickelodeon Guts in that it's just like pick your guy, do these events, cool, the game's over. And it's not really like you're beating complicated levels or anything. It's just you do all the events and whatever your score is, your score is. Alright, so we grab these gloves here. We got a neat little trick here to try and skip through this spot. We're going to kind of abuse what the wall mechanics are there. Let's skip over that barrier. Alright, we got one fast trick here that's pretty risky, but we'll see if we can get it. We're going to grab these gloves and run away from the gladiator as fast as possible. Alright, we just got out of reach, so that worked. Nice. 61 is an awesome in-game timer number for this level. We cut some corners there and made it work. Alright, so Cannonball 3. This is going to play similar to Cannonball 2 in that we're going to just try and get the glitch at the end, but you're going to see a long distance shot and a really fast one here at the beginning. No one would survive that. Alright, so this is our first long distance one. So we're going to try and grab the rope and hit the gladiator basically blind. Luckily that one isn't too difficult. It syncs up pretty well that where the rope ends up is where the gladiator ends up. We're going to jump here and grab the gloves so we can slide down. And we're going to try the glitch one more time. This time we're going to go on the second pass through. And... oh, we got it. Cool. If you let go a little bit too early there, I don't know if you could see, but the contender was actually changing his pose. Like where he's leaning forward and leaning backward. That's actually what his sprite would have been doing if it was still holding onto the rope. So if you release A and then launch yourself when he's leaning backwards, that's kind of what he looks like when he's holding on the rope going forwards. But if you release it the other way, he falls off the other side of the pedestal. So you're kind of just abusing the physics there, understanding that when you press A again, it's going to release you off the rope. You want it to go in a direction that your sprite would normally be traveling. So we look at that as a clue for when it's okay to let go. Just as Game Tech and Samuel Goldwyn intended. Obviously, they did it on purpose. Why would it be in the game? Is there going to be a chance at a 2 up here? I think I've done that like once lifetime. We got 3 to go with... probably not. 2 to go with 9 seconds. Not likely. Nah, this gladiators want me to get 2 extra lives. That's okay. 1 is fine. Like I said before, hopefully we don't need it. Now, we took a death on assault last time. I don't expect that we're going to shoot the gladiator 5 times, but I do think that we can cross the finish line before he shoots us 3 times. That's a reasonable goal. So we'll try and camp behind there. The other thing that you saw me do there, and I'm going to try and use it more often if I have to, is the wall bounce. And what happens in the wall bounce is when I change direction here, I actually don't change very quickly. But if I bounce off the wall, I just showed you at the end because I could. It bounces you to the opposite direction a whole lot faster than if you naturally try and change direction. So you can kind of manipulate the Gladiator to going further towards the wall, and then you come off the wall much faster and can avoid the shot there. So here we are at level 4. This is the last of the levels before our Eliminator. So we'll play everything one more time. I said before that Joust 4 is actually easier than Joust 3. It's debatable. It's definitely not objectively. The patterns in Joust 4 are incredibly simple. Like, they're only 2 or 3 moves. But they change a whole lot faster. So, like, I was just in the middle of hitting him in the middle, and then all of a sudden he was blocking that way. So, if you get blocked, it's basically, you know, almost RNG as to whether or not you're going to jump back into the pattern in the right spot because the pattern changes so quickly. Yeah, I don't actually think I was supposed to be able to hit him in the middle there, but I think I took 2 hits and was able to jump back into the correct spot in the pattern. Alright. Now hopefully this is the toughest Gladiator we have to fight. If we grab the super stick and do everything we're supposed to, we won't really have to fight the 4th Gladiator. We got the low-high combo pretty good. Perfect. Alright, so this is a little bit tricky. So we're going to have to go forward and then backwards to spawn the super stick. And you can see these jump physics are really realistic for a guy who prides himself on being an athlete. Alright. We are now done with jousting. We got a wall, a cannonball, a power ball, and an assault to go before we get to the Eliminator, which is like the obstacle course at the end of, you know. If you've seen the show, you've seen what the Eliminator is. It is not a fun endeavor for the people involved. Alright, so we got a tough Gladiator here. We're going to try and... Oh, we missed it. Alright, we're going to try that again. That's kind of a new strat this year that people have been doing. Normally we would go around the right side and try and get her to run into that purple barrier, and then she would fall down. Instead, we're trying to do this little sprint there instead, and it works some of the time. But it depends if she spawns on the correct grip that you can get through there. Now, ooh, that was a little bit tricky. I guess I was touching up on the D-pad. We gotta do it again. This is why I get those extra lives in Powerball. So when you get to this complicated wall, it's not game over right away. Ooh, that's bad. Alright, there we go. My right hand was not on a grip. I was holding up my whole body weight with my left hand there. That we've all been there. Alright. Let's hope for no more wall gaffes here. Ooh, this is close. Alright. The Gladiators are like, they're like red turtle shells in Mario Kart. Presumably the original Mario Kart. They're gonna go right towards you no matter what. They're not really that smart. Okay, they're just gonna keep going directly where you are. So if I go down a little bit there, the Gladiator's gonna start going down and going straight towards me. And I can use that to my advantage to get them to go run into things and such, but other times, like here, oh, this Gladiator's gonna come straight down, and I happen to be straight down. That's kind of a problem, so I need to get out of there in a hurry. Alright, we're gonna take this slow and get this technical part correct, instead of speeding through it. We are no longer on any kind of world record pace. There's no reason to blow this again. Alright. This Gladiator's a little bit tricky here, so we're gonna try and sprint through diagonally. Alright, and the gloves here could be kind of a punishment, so we're gonna be careful when we get them to try and keep our directions, not around the edges. We're gonna keep them towards the middle of things. Alright. Gloves are worn off. And then here's the same thing I told you before. We can use that red turtle shell strategy. I'll put my hand down there. The Gladiator will try and go down a little bit, and she just falls down. And we got one more Gladiator to beat here. Alright, we're done with the walls. No more climbing. I never noticed that Joust is the only one that didn't rhyme. I guess Eliminator doesn't rhyme either, but that's not really selectable. They could include all the other events too, but There's probably a limited amount of space they were working with on the NES cartridge. That Atmosphere didn't make the cut, or Breakthrough and Conquer. Alright, we got another long distance one here. This one's tricky in that the first pass through the rope is actually unreachable. Alright. We're gonna jump blindly at these gloves. Alright, got that one. This is the toughest Gladiator for sure. We can't grab the rope until the second time by. It's actually impossible to grab that where we want to. And then we actually can't hit the Gladiator until our fourth pass through. So we're gonna go up here and grab this extra life because we got the gloves before. But you can see how fast the Gladiator platform is moving. We're never gonna be in a spot where if we released it, we would actually end up carrying into the Gladiator. We'd always go above him or below him. That's our second pass through. Here's our third one. And we're gonna release just before the 6 o'clock point. Or just after the 6 o'clock point, I guess. We're gonna release at 6:30. And take out the Gladiator there. That's about a 6 to 10 frame window or so. Alright. We got another auto-scroll Powerball here. We'll see if we can get one extra life out of it. 2 is pretty much impossible with only 45 seconds. Alright, while we're here, I want to talk about the Eliminator, because it's a lot of things going on at the same time. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump across all these platforms while the Gladiators throw medicine balls at us. Or if we get hit by a medicine ball, it's not the end of the world, but it does stun us a little bit, and it can knock us off a platform if we're not careful. So, you don't want to get hit by them, but it's not like you just automatically die if you do. Then we're going to jump onto the hand bike section, and the hand bike is going to have more medicine balls thrown at us, and we're going to ride that to the conveyor belt section. The conveyor belt section is similar to the platforms beginning with medicine balls getting thrown at us, but there's a few jumps in the conveyor belt section which are really, really difficult because you're jumping essentially hoping that a medicine ball that hasn't spawned yet on the screen isn't going to hit you. Alright, I'm going to do Assault here and still talk about Eliminator. So then after that section we have another hand bike section, and then we get the zip line all the way down to the finish line. The plan that happens about 10% of the time is to grab a hand bike in the first hand bike section before the conveyor belt section. And we're going to hope that a medicine ball hits us as soon as we get on there. Because if it does, it'll knock us back onto the platform. And we'll have the opportunity to grab the hand bike again. But when you do, the game thinks, oh, this person has already been on a hand bike. And if they're jumping to a hand bike, this must be the second hand bike. And it puts a second hand bike on the screen. And you're unable to move. So then we take an intentional death, and what it will do is it will actually skip us ahead to the second hand bike section. So we're going to see if that happens. Not very likely, but I am going to try for it. So when you guys see me standing still on the hand bike hoping for a medicine ball, that's what I'm trying to do there, is I'm trying to get this glitch. Right. And that glitch itself can save about 1.5 minutes, so it's pretty huge. Let's cheer for medicine ball luck. Going up right here. Oh, we fell anyway. Got super duper excited and ran before we jumped there. That's fine. I'm also curious, so these balls are supposed to be big enough that they're able to knock me back, right? Like, I get hit in the air and it stuns me backwards, or I have to duck to move them out of the way. So these things are obviously heavy and, like, have some weight to them that they're able to move a human being around with such ease. Well then, what kind of serious monster is able to throw these things that high? Who's able to take a medicine ball and just casually lob it like 35 feet in the air? And if it's the Gladiators, that's great, but like, these are the people who are dragging me off the wall and are beating the crap out of me in Powerball? Like, does not seem safe. That would have been a good medicine ball. Let's see if this one will work. Oh, we got a chance at it. All right, cool. We got a second. Oh, we have a chance for a third hand bike. That doesn't happen very often. All right, so then we'll skip the whole conveyors. Sorry you guys don't get to see it, but we're going to skip all the way ahead to the zipline section instead, because we got the glitch. I always like to imagine the zip lines are basically, they're reversing the direction we went after all those wall climbs. Where it felt like we climbed like 17 stories. That's why there's like 5 or 6 zip lines here that we're going to get to go down. Alright, moving pretty quick, so our release point's going to be a little bit sooner each time. Alright. We did it. That's American Gladiators. Our time is going to be when the timer in the corner reaches 0. So it's currently at 65. Just let it count down. When it hits 0, that's the timer. It looks like we almost a sub 24. It's pretty solid. So that's American Gladiators. One of the games that you talk to someone who played it when they were a kid is going to say that that game was really, really hard, and I hope I didn't make it look that hard. 24:04 is pretty great. I'm pretty stoked about that as a marathon time. If you guys found this game enjoyable, feel free to run it. We'd love to see more people do it and talk about strategy and glitches and things that people can find. A lot of the stuff is new. As far as the hand bike glitch that was discovered this year, the cannonball glitch was discovered about a year ago. So those things are all relatively new, and we'd love all the people that want to give it a shot and support all of them. If you want to watch other NES games that I'm streaming, that's happening on MixMastaPJ as well. I want to thank everyone at License-a-thon, the staff, including Jack 8 and Tempestrol, and all those guys have been doing tons and tons of work behind the scenes that you guys don't really see. And as far as organizing it, I know there were some hiccups early, but they've been doing a great job. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for Toy Story 2. Thanks again.